Start stream.
Yeah, I'm good. If you want, just stream it through Discord if video is not working. If you're able to.
Good evening, SRA Nation, and welcome to Season 12.
Today is going to be a new challenge, aside from being sent for. We're racing on the surface of the sun, apparently.
Heading down towards the main start line.
Maximizing that track just behind, that's exactly what we were talking about, that one corner. So critical to your lap time, you have to send it. This is the apex curving there by a little bit.
Everybody's now bunched up, and you do not want that.
Rewind now at the end of Sector 1 in the spot you really don't want to, but the fight's not over.
Still there on the inside, and the McLaren's still not going to give the place up.
And we're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, SRA Nation, and welcome to SRA GT3 Team Series Season 13 Division 4 Round 5 here at Zolder. I am your host, Big Daddy. I'm joined in the booth this evening by Rob Warren. Rob, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing fantastic, exciting for another great evening of racing. This season is developing very quickly, even with all the breaks we got going on. So looking forward to a great night of racing here at Zolder.
Absolutely. We've had an exciting first half of the season so far. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens here going into the second half of the season. Who's going to continue to show up? Who's going to rise to the challenge here in the second half? And who may even fall off? Of course, we never want to see that, but this is why we go motor racing. We never know what is going to happen and how things are going to go and play out. So far...
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was going to say definitely, lots of close battles here in the championships. Lots of cool things to look out for. I'm sure these guys are ready to capitalize on all the points they can before they have another 2-week break to practice for round 6. So lots of good things going into this week. Expect to look for some bold moves and take advantage of those points as much as they can.
Absolutely. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the driver standings, see what's happened so far here in this championship. So far, Sean Williams has really started to pull out a commanding lead, already taking 51 points over Kyle Cumber in second place. Sean Williams, of course, having that amazing last corner pass there at Nürburgring in our last round just a week ago. Kyle Cumber is sitting in second place. Justin Griswold just a few points behind in third, followed by Stephen Dutton, who just missed out on the podium last week with Sean's really crazy move. But sitting actually tied on points for P3, but sitting in P4. P5, we've got Ryan Garrity in the Ferrari 296, just a single point behind them. 2 more points behind Garrity, we have a tie with Justin Moffat and Kevin Johnston. Just a few points behind him, Henry Ramirez sitting at an even 200 points, tied with JP Johnston. Let's do. Then we've got Rob Moorhead sitting at 192 points, just a few points off of P9. So a really pretty close battle, especially for P3 through P10. Again, Cumber and Williams have both really checked out a little bit. Moving just a little bit further back, we have our first silver driver with Raf Cab currently leading the silver championship for Division 4. He's followed by another gold driver, Alexander Giordano in the NSX. Steve Foster sitting in 13th place with 178 points. Stephen Music sitting in 14th, P2 in the silver championship with 175 points, just 10 points behind Raf Cab. Eric Rudderham sitting 15th. Justin Rosenthal sitting 16th. Spencer Taft in 17th. Dobry GTG in 18th with 145 points. Landon P in the other Honda NSX sitting in 19th position with 138 points. Aaron Anderson, who was our mid-season promotion, coming into D4 for, I believe, round 3 at Misano, if I'm not mistaken. With 135 points already, certainly he can move up in the standings a bit more. Jacob Busterski sitting at 131 points in P21. Matt Mattisey in the Bentley in P22. Stefan Buckley in P23 in the Lexus. Let's see, Scott Johnston in P24, Darren Robichaux in P25, and Caleb Tenney in P26. And as we continue to move on, we got Thomas Greer sitting in P27 in the Porsche 992 with 102 points. Some more close points races back here as well. Hesham Rinsk is at 100 points in P28. Ian Demler P29 with 98 points, so just 4 points off of moving up a couple of spots. Kyle Miller in P30, Travis Tatro in P31, Matt Anderson P32, Robert Lacey in P33, Mert Mertz in P34, Francisco Astudillo in P35, John Ansom P36, Roger Rodriguez P37, Stephanie Fisher P38, Matt Melanson P39, Jake Battle rounding out the top 40, followed in by Vincent Nicolette, Steven Sarver, Bruce Hopkins, Brett Swift, Aiden Burke, who I was actually watching in on a little bit earlier. He's showing some good pace. Interesting to see what he can put together for us this evening. Jason Pinkard and Vishal Sahara rounding out 47. And as we take a look at the team standings, got RaceX Esports, Ford Mustang of JP Johnston and Justin Griswold, sitting in with 414 points. Right behind them, though, Champion Motorsports CEL of Sean Williams and Scott Johnston. Sean, of course, putting up some really strong points just by himself. Sitting in with 405 points, so just a 9-point delta between first and second, and then just another 2 points back to P3 in this team championship. A very close fight up here at the front of the pack. As we move a little bit further back, we've got a little bit of a gap here to Better Call Steve of Steven Music and Steve Foster. Then we've got a little bit of a gap, not a huge one, certainly not insurmountable, of Baseline Racing Turbo Time of Alex Giordano and Landon P, our 2 Honda NSX drivers. Blind Babushkas of Hesham Rimsk and Stephen Dutton, just a couple points behind them. OBDA Castle and Cauldron Esports of Stefan Buckley and Raf Cab, 307. Turbo Time Racing of Ryan Garrity and Robert Lacey in P8. Baseline Racing Secret Santas of Caleb Tenney and Spencer Taft in P9, and Crazy Rabbits Racing of Justin Moffat and Matt Mellinson. Rounding out our top 10 in the team championship, they are followed in by a solo driver, Plane E Racing of Kyle Cumber in P11. Kyle, as solo driver there, only his points contributing to the team championship and still sitting just outside the top 10. Very impressive run for him so far. Of course, he's sitting there in, unless my memory's failing me this quickly, yes, sitting second in the overall championship as well. Red Cars Go Faster of Mert Mertson and Justin Rosenthal sitting in P12. Ope Racing of Madison and Robichaud, our Bentley team, sitting in P13. Dark Horse Renegades of Henry Ramirez and Jake Battle in P14. Red Eye Racing of John Ansom and Eric Rudderham in P15. That is a close battle going, really, from P11 all the way through P16 for points. Let's see. Baseline Racing of Holiday Inn Express, speaking of P16, Jobri GTG and Francisco Astudillo. Dive Bomb Bandits of Jacob Busterski and Vincent Nicolet, sitting in P17. MHR OBDA, Bitch Peas Hold the Brakes, sitting in P18 of Thomas Greer and Stephanie Fisher. Bruce Von Campus of Demler and Rodriguez, sitting in 19th. Madhouse Racing SYS, that is our solo promoted driver of Aaron Anderson, already breaking into the top 20 of the team points. Baseline Racing Last Minute Shoppers of Kyle Miller and Steven Sarver in P21. Black Sheep Motorsport of Anderson and Swift in P22. Overboost of Aiden Burke and Travis Tostro in P23. And Brew Hop of Bruce Hopkins in P24, followed by MHR Nayslayer of Jason Pinkard in P25, and finally APX Dynamics of Vishal Sahara in P26. So quite a few good points battles going on so far in the season. Everything's still very close and very much kind of bunched up, and anyone could still kind of run away with this. Obviously, you know, there's a few things that are going to be out of the question, but by and large, still plenty on the board, and anything can really happen here.
Yeah, I was noticing the top three in the team championship are only 11 points separating first and third place, so definitely anybody's race still there. As well as the silver championship, those guys are only 14 points between the top three, so definitely you know, anybody's race there. Sean Williams has started to take a little bit of a gap to Kyle Cumber in the gold standings. He's 51 points up over second place, but that is not unheard of. You know, wilder things have definitely happened here in SRA, and we could always see Kyle or even Justin Griswold or Stefan Dutton, who are in tied for fourth place, making up that gap there. So even though he's pulling away, definitely not a huge spread to overcome. Looks like qualifying is getting ready to start here before too long.
With that, I think this is a really great opportunity for us to take a look at the track that these drivers will be on this evening.
Yeah, so very exciting track here. We are at the Circuit Zolder in Belgium, one of two famous tracks in Belgium, also home to Spa. So this is quite an interesting track. The Belgians seem to really love their chicanes, and it comes out here at Circuit Zolder. We have a total of 3 major chicanes on this track, so lots of very technical track to go through. Lots of opportunities to not only make passes but capitalize on mistakes. Zolder's been around since the early 60s. It's been home to Formula One in the past, however, has not hosted Formula One since the 1980s. It is still, however, a staple of the SRO and Blancpain GT series. As we look through the corners, the first corner is a very high-speed right hand going into a left-hand corner. And then another sweeping right-hand corner. So the first section of the track is quite a high-speed section before you start to get to the chicanes in the back. The first major chicane is the Klein chicane, This one's very tight and technical, and the curbs on this one are huge. They are not forgiving at all. If you mess up this chicane, you could get sent flying into the wall, flying off the track, or flying into another competitor. After the Klein chicane, you have the Butte. It's a left-hand kink into the next chicane, which is more of a into the next chicane. And then you have after, sorry, I'm getting my corners mixed up. So we have the, where am I? I'm lost. This is very confusing. I'm going to skip to turn 8. This is the tight hairpin corner towards the back of the track. This can be a good overtaking opportunity if you can outbrake your competitor, or you can just drive right through the back of your teammate, whichever you prefer. Either way, this corner is a good spot to capitalize and make passes. Out of that, it's a drag race down into the last chicane, which is a slight left and then right corner, not as extreme as the other two chicanes on the track, before you drag race down the straight into the front of the track.
That has been a track walk for us. We're actually going to go ahead and head out onto track where we've got our first couple of cars just starting their flying laps. Silver Group is going to be led out by Aiden Burke, who I saw, like I mentioned earlier, was putting down some spicy times there in that last minute practice session. So I'm really curious to see exactly what he can put together for qualifying today and whether he can kind of keep up this pace for the entirety of a race.
And looking at the hot lap board, there's definitely lots of people to keep an eye on. We've got times all the way into the 28s, such as Rudderham and Anderson. Those guys are running 28.4, 28.6. I see a 28.7. But lots of guys moving into the 28s. They're getting really fast. And even some silver drivers up there at the very top of the leaderboard. You know, I hate to say it, but I feel like with these long straights, you know, this could be another good track for some of the power cars like the Mustang and the Lexus. I don't know if this is, you know, even with those sweeping corners, I don't know how strong or if the aero cars like the McLaren or even the Audi have an advantage at this track. I think you're still going to see some of these power cars dominate. Of course, all that's negated by these long braking zones. You know, we could see anybody take advantage of outbraking their competitors and getting around them going into the corners. So I expect to see plenty of people playing chicken here in this race.
I don't disagree with you. We've got our first laps coming in. Justin Rosenthal sitting with a 29.8 right at the top of the leaderboard, followed closely by Mattisy in P2. Just a 10th off Music, just a 100th off of Mattisy in P3. Taft, let's see, just even less than a 7,000th of a second off of Music. Rafcab about a 10th and a half off of them. To your point about the power cars, I could see that being the case. It does make them a little bit difficult to race against. At the same time, so much of this track is going to come down to surviving as much as anything else. As Rosenthal extends his gap and improves by about a 10th. It's really easy to get maybe a little bit greedy with the chicanes and just end up with a really unlucky bounce. Alternatively, if you just miss your braking points a little bit, there's not a ton of... There's no easy runoff here. Everything is either sand or it is a very small amount of grass before you are in a wall. And the other part of this is really easy to pick up punctures here. So those things can all go and cut a stint short, force a change of strategy, and even sometimes force an additional pit stop. Of course, none of these drivers want to have to deal with as a couple of drivers filter through and improve on their times. Mattisey currently sitting on pole with a 29 flat, beating Rosenthal by 6/10. Ansem following just behind him, just 200ths off. Tatro right behind both of them. And then there's a little bit of a gap back to Astudillo, who is almost half a second off.
Yeah, it's interesting to see you've got Mattisey there already down to a 29.0. Ansem is not far off of him with the 29.1. You know, and looking at these guys' times on the leaderboard, they're still a little bit in tank. You know, even Jobry down there at 6th place, he was, or I'm sorry, yeah, Jobry down there in 8th place, he was running a 28.8, as was Ansem.
It looks like Tatro is actually going to take provisional pole as he improves by a couple of tenths, knocks Mattisey off.
Down to a 29 flat.
Demler's looking at a good improvement, almost half a second up at the moment. $29,000 for Tatro. That is always fun to see those times come in, where you're just right nail on the head at a flat number. Always fun to see.
Yeah, that's definitely something difficult to do, and you know, looking at it, there is still time he could pick up. He holds the fastest times in Sector 1 and 2, but Ansem still holds a 2/10 faster time in Sector 3, so again, still time.
Aiden Burke looking to
him. Tank.
Sorry to interrupt you. Aiden Burke looking to improve, going to bump him all the way up to P. Not going to be enough for provisional pole, but certainly not a time to be ashamed of in any way. Can add a handful of improvements coming across. Got Mattisey looking to, like he just goofed on that last chicane. Was about 2/10 up. Dio's coming across with a couple tenths improvement. Get him up. Continue to drop Burke back though. Certainly not what he wants to be.
Yeah, Mr. Jobry has moved up to 4th position now. He was down to 8th, so he's made a little bit of an improvement there. And I'm also seeing that he is improving on his delta slightly. Did we disconnect or did I disconnect?
I think you may have. You are still alive and still going strong.
I'm gonna let you take over for a minute while I get my lap times back up.
All right, sounds good. We're looking at 8. We're watching Aiden Burke right now, who is looking at another half-second improvement, which would put him on provisional pole. He is going to take it by just 600. Such a close group right up here at the front. This will be his final attempt at a lap as well. As at the 10-minute mark, there will be no new laps allowed to be started by our silver drivers. Make way for gold drivers to come out and start their qualifying session.
Looks like we may have a couple guys just squeaking by and being able to start that next lap. Mr. Burke getting by just in the nick of time, it looks like. Oh no, looking at the wrong part of the track. He is leading the last of the pack there, and I see Burke is up 3/10 on his delta. Man, if he could make that time stick, that would be
That'll be
a
big for
hot,
him.
hot lap.
Cool. Watching with Raph Cab right now, as he is currently looking at a 1.2 second improvement if he can hold this, which he's not. He was actually looking at provisional pole. Don't know what happened there.
Sure, you can't park there.
Yeah, it's parking space. Although it looks like Aiden Burke is about to come back across with another improvement of about 0.3. Really helping cement that provisional pole, making it just a little tougher for the silver drivers to come in and unseat him. Burke going to close out our silver, I believe. A couple of improvements, Robichaud bumping up a position with a 29.9. But Burke are only 28 from the silver drivers with a 28.6. It is a spicy time indeed. And we'll take a look at Anderson, who's leading out our gold drivers. Anderson, I was watching him in the practice session earlier as well. He was the only one who was beating Burke. And not by much, only by about 1.5 to 2/10. Now, certainly not everyone was in that practice session, so we may see some different names pop up here. Though I would certainly expect Anderson to be up here towards the front just based on what we saw from the hot lap.
We still got a little bit to go here before we get any of the gold drivers crossing the line with official times, but definitely some guys to keep an eye on. We've got Rutherham, Anderson, Giordano. All these guys are repeat customers or repeat fenders here. They always are at the top of the leaderboard week after week, so interesting to see what kind of times they put down. You know, Giordano's driving the NSX, which is not a very common car, but man, he's found some magic in that car and made it work for him this season so far. So excited to see what he can do with that car.
Absolutely, he has. Unfortunately, he suffered a little bit of bad luck at each round, it seems like. Hoping to break that curse here in the second half of the season. But I will say this is a tough track for that car just because of how much you have to kind of use the curbs, and you can get, the car likes to get really dicey. Okay. So this will be, I have faith in him. I think he can pull this off. I think I would love to see him get a good finish, but it is going to be tough. It's not going to be a challengeless ordeal for him. Gets the back end a little bit loose coming out of that E9. Hairpin coming out of the back four section. First couple laps come through Anderson as he gets nice and loose. The rear end coming out of T. Going to have a 29.1 on the board, so already way up among the silver drivers. Good for 5th currently. But that slide is going to cost him quite a lot. We'll see if he can improve it all. But I think he may have to wait for his next lap to see much improvement at all.
Yeah, Jacob Busterski up there again in the top 10. You know, he had some bad luck a couple weeks ago at Misano. He had a disconnect and had to start from the pit lane and was making up some pretty fast times there at the beginning of the race. So hopefully he can make a good start here this week and put some solid times down. I'm seeing him at a 29-1 as well as Anderson. So good times for him. More gold drivers in the top 10. Dutton and Rudderham have both put down 29.2s. Good for a top 10 time. So as these guys continue to improve on these times, I think we'll see more of them move into the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. These first laps are usually just going to be the banker laps. So this is just to get a time on the board. Make sure you're not starting off in the back. Because qualifying is rather important here. As much as there's good opportunities for passing, it can be really kind of risky to do so. On board with Sean Williams, he's looking at 7/10 improvement. We're going to put him up quite high, up to P3 provisional right now. A 29 flat. I'm sure he'll be looking to improve that a bit.
Only 5 1,000s off Tatra. That's not a small margin, or not a big margin.
No, it's not. He's right there, and I'm going to guess he has more in the tank. Could be wrong. Certainly I've been wrong in the past, and undoubtedly I will be wrong in the future. I don't think I am on this one, though. Now the question is, how is he going to handle, because there's no overtaking in SRA qualifying, how's he going to handle Giordano here? Going to back out? Is he going to let, he's got a car behind, it looks like that is number 60 of his championship rival, Kyle Cumber, right behind him. So is he going to build up this gap, or is he just going to trust that Giordano is going to have the right pace? Giordano currently sitting P35 with a 31.3 and only looking at a 4/10 improvement.
Williams definitely need to make a decision here soon. We've seen Anderson and Rudderham have both moved up into the second and third positions. So already seeing guys improving and bumping Williams down to 5th place.
Oh, and we're actually looking at a 1.4 second improvement for Giordano. We'll bump him up a few spots up to P28. Certainly he'll be looking for more after sitting, what, P3 on the hot lap leaderboard? So he's still got some pace in the tank. Got to figure out exactly how to, just got to figure out how to get that out.
Yeah, these guys definitely have plenty left. Rudderham even ran a 28.4, so we know these guys are capable of faster times. It's just a matter of them putting them down. Looks like maybe some trouble for Rudderham, as he's now flipped to a 13-second delta.
Yeah, I saw him kind of riding the wall here on the right-hand side of that back 4 section coming out from the gate. Let a couple of cars go around him. I don't know if he's got damage. Like he's just kind of mentally resetting. Williams is up 3/10. Not quite enough for provisional pole, but certainly looks to be like it might give him the edge over Anderson. Aiden Burke, one of our Zolder drivers, still sitting provisional pole. Giordano's going to let up and let Williams go. Oh, and Williams loses the rear end just a little bit. That's going to cost him. We'll still see a little bit of improvement, about 2/10. That is not going to be enough for provisional pole, and it's not going to be enough to unseat Anderson from P2. Of course, Williams may decide, you know what, P3 is a really nice spot to be. Gives you the inside line. Yes, it's not the front row, but it's close enough. Although he would be starting right behind the AMR V8, which the last I heard still had some rough turbo lag off the starts. So he may not want to do that. He may still want to go for P.
Yeah, you know, having this clean air now with Giordano letting him by, I think Williams is going to be motivated to try to go for that pole position. It's 2/10, which it's not a huge gap, but you know, finding 2/10 around the racetrack can be pretty difficult. I don't see his delta improving quite yet. I do, however, see Anderson. He's in the green with a 1/10 delta right now, so can we see him take provisional pole? Stay tuned.
Take a look, he's 2/10 up now. That would give him provisional pole, as he only needs a 127,000th So just over a tenth.
And this is going to come down to the wire here. His qualifying is rounding down. So
Looks like Williams has
most of these
abandoned his
guys-
lap. He is 7 seconds off Delta right. Griswold is invalid. Looks like he's abandoned. Moorhead is coming across with a half-second improvement.
It's going to be close between Anderson and Burke here at the line.
And the top 25 within a 1 second gap. 26.
And Anderson squeaks it out with a 28.5 to take provisional pole, putting Burke down to second place.
You know, I would say you hate to see it. At the same time, Anderson's fast, man. There's no denying that. There's no getting around that. Would have been cool to see Burke come out and get the pole, though, as a silver driver especially. And watch the last...
You gotta love to see it, though. I mean, for Burke, it's nice to have a 4-car gap back to the next silver driver. That it's starting off giving him plenty of points boost over anybody else, helping him out in the championship. So, you know, as much as second place on the grid sucks, that gap is got to be feeling good right now. He's got a little bit of a cushion.
Absolutely. Now we'll wrap up our qualifying. We've got Anderson sitting on pole, followed by Burke, Williams, Rudderham, Garrity, Dutton, Tatro, Ansem in 8th, Mattisey in the Bentley in 9th, and Kyle Cumber, P2 in the Gold Championship, sitting in P10 for the start. While we wait for everyone to grid up and go around the formation lap, this is going to be a great time for us to have a word from our sponsors.
A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favourite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specialising in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay, and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
All right, and while we wait for the drivers to get the formation lap underway, take a look at the schedule for the rest of the season. So we're at Zolder this weekend. We will have a 2-week break before we go to Mount Panorama. Mount Pano, one of my favorite races, always produces some great racing, but it is absolutely a survival match there. We'll then go to Olton Park the week after that, another favorite of mine, though GT3 racing can be a little dicey there. Certainly one of the find a collectively favorite tracks of SRA, and we will wrap up this series with round 8 at Valencia on the 19th of February, and that will be our night race of the season. Valencia, always an absolute banger of a track, has an amazing flow to it, always produces really, I would say, some of the best racing in ACC. At least just in my experience. I know other people may disagree. They'll have other favorite tracks and they'll have other experience. But for me, Valencia never fails to really deliver on some absolutely top-notch racing. Rob, what are you thinking about the rest of the schedule here, second half?
Oh, you know, it's definitely quite a good schedule coming up here. Valencia at night, I don't think we've seen that one yet in SRA. So that's going to be a good race coming up. We also have... Oh, go ahead.
I think you're right. I think we've had wet. I think we've had dry a couple of times, but I think we've always had it during the day.
Yeah, you know, and of course, Mount Panorama and Alton Park, always favorites here. Patches would be proud to see Alton Park back on the schedule. And then, of course, Mount Panorama, you know, who can forget the mountain? That is quite a tough track. You either love it or you hate it. You know, very easy to make mistakes, very hard to make passes. So excited to see the rest of the track. And, of course, we're giving everybody a good long 2-week break here coming up on Mount Panorama. So should have plenty of practice before hitting the mountain.
Absolutely, and it would be remiss of me not to say, Alton Park confirmed. All right, and we will go ahead and hop on with our race drivers as we get ready for the start of the race. We're coming up on the final chicane here in the formation lap. Anderson is going to lead the pack, followed by Burke over in the right-hand column. Williams has got to be feeling good about this. He's got Anderson in front of him, who's not really a championship threat at this point. And his competitor, his second place rival, all the way back in 10th on the race start. Now, obviously, we still have 60 minutes of racing to go. And we are off. And we're going to see an immediate drive-through for car 461 of Rob Moorhead. Oh, no, you hate to see it. I'm assuming it was some sort of out-of-position deal.
Ooh, a little bit sketchy there. We're seeing Mattisey get off in the grass a little bit to the left and drop back quite a bit. Lots of people capitalizing on that. We got another car off. Ooh, sketchy coming through that corner. Who was that went off there? It looks like maybe a Studio. And unfortunately, bad luck for Brewsterski.
A lot of chaos. Bumps. Pain. But it looks like everyone is at least going to stay alive.
Oh, we got another car off. Who is this?
Oh no, that's Griswold.
Looks like Mr. Griswold. Possibly a self-delete, just missing the corner there.
So easy to have those happen here.
Look back and see what we can see.
As we take a look back towards the front, we see Burke is actually taking the lead away from Anderson. Rudderham's taking the lead from Williams, so maybe that outside line, having an even starting position, might have been the move here. Or maybe, just maybe, that's just the way things shook out here on lap 1. See Moorhead go ahead and hop into the pits to serve his drive-through. It's always such a bummer to see that happen right off the start. Had that happen to me once, maybe twice. I think once, though. I was at Watkins Glen here with SRA back in, I want to say that was season 8. And didn't feel like I was out of position, didn't look like I was out of position, but game said I was out of position, and you're getting an extra trip through the pits. Not
Yeah, you know,
a
it do
fun
be-
time.
It do be like that. You have to trust what your HUD says, and you can't go based off just the guy in front of you, as I learned the hard way when almost all of the top 10 got a drive-through penalty for being out of position and not panorama during one season. So that's definitely something that's a little tricky. Going back to the race, Burke, I'm sure, is happy to have this 5-car gap back to Tatro in 7th place as the next silver driver. So lots of points for Burke there as he continues to lead this race. Although we do see, quite close times between the top 5 of Garrity, Williams, Rudderham, Anderson, and Burke, all running within about 2 or 3 tenths of each other.
Absolutely, some really close racing going on right now as we've got a couple of cars side by side here through out of turn 2 going into turn 3. As Moffat tries to get around Ansem. Now, if I remember right, Moffat had some killer pace at Suzuka, so it's a little bit surprising to see him fighting just around the top 10. Just around the top 10 here. But, of course, everyone's going to have some tracks that favor them, some tracks that don't.
A little bit loose for Burke there as he comes through the chicane, but you're right, this is a very technical track. Even though there are some high-speed sections, if you can nail those chicanes down, you can make up a lot of time here. We see Anderson all over the back of Burke, Rudderham and Williams following very closely, so still lots of tight racing here in this top 5 or 6 drivers.
Absolutely. I just don't think I think the power cars are going to have a little bit of an advantage, but I think as long as you can run a great defense, I think you can still be okay here. It's not a track where you can just, aside from really this main straight and maybe coming out of turn 3 or turn 3, 4, whichever that right-hand 90 is, about the only 2 places could really open up the power, and you've got to make sure that you've got that pass complete on such a heavily time at the end. So as much as it can be an advantage, it's more an advantage in the bending aspect, I would argue.
Looking further back, it looks like we have Rodriguez dropping down and going into the pit, possibly to fix damage, or I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but that's going to drop him all the way down to the back of the field.
Got a little bit of bumping and banging going on here between Robichaud and Landon P. A little bit of door-to-door action. Always makes some excitement and some really tight racing right here. Ooh, looked like there was a little contact there between Kevin Johnston and Ramirez. Ramirez getting just a little loose, but not having to see position.
Also looks like we've had an issue with Rudderham. Rudderham's dropped all the way down to 22nd place. He was just running in that pack of the top 5 there in 3rd place and on the podium, so you hate to see it, but it looks like he's dropped back for an issue there as well.
You hate to see it. I'm looking at his car right now. I'm not seeing any damage, so I'm thinking it might have just been a self-delete through the chicane. Maybe there's a little damage on the back. I wonder if he might have gotten tapped.
Man, and Burke just put down a flyer of lap. He put down a 29.6. That's going to be 3 tenths faster than anybody else on the track. Williams is next fastest at a 29.9, so 3 tenths faster than Williams in 3rd place.
Man, we've got Ramirez off here at turn 1. I saw him sideways. I don't know if maybe he got a little bit of help getting turned around, but that's a scary place to be off, especially with your nose pointing at the wall. We got Johnston and Johnston all over each other for yet another. This is really similar to last week at Nürburgring in the rain with, let's see, Kevin Johnston chasing down JP Johnston. So this time they've got a couple more cars in the fight as Melanson and Rudderham are both right on their tails. And we're actually going to see Anderson put in an absolute heater with the 29.4. Looks like Burke's going to improve with a 29.5, Williams with a 29.7. So several of those top guys, Mattisey getting in there in the P9 with the 29.9. Really putting down getting some speed out of the Bentley now.
Yeah, you know, Rudderham, I'm sure, is chomping at the bit to get by this pack of cars here. Johnston, and Melanson. He's running almost a second faster than any of these guys around that track. So definitely, I expect him to see past this pack as soon as he finds an opportunity and continue to make his way back up through this field. Once he gets past that pack there, he'd have a little bit of clean air up to Taft in 17th place.
Yeah, the trouble I see is if he lost it in one of those chicanes or just got a nasty bounce, he could be a little timid through there, and that can cost him a lot of time.
Oh,
Oh no, and that puts Rudderham off the track.
Man, that is quite unfortunate for Rudderham's march back up to the front, but even more unfortunate for Kay Johnston, who is going to drop all the way back to 28th place after just that little bit of a bump there.
As he ends up with the Audi Sport board going through his hood. Wonder if that's obstructing.
Needs to channel his inner Ricky Bobby, and as another car spins, Giordano just gets loose through that last chicane, spins out and almost takes out Rudderham in the process. So man, Rudderham is really just not having a good night.
No, he's
unfortunately
not.
Getting collected here.
And it looks like Johnston's actually going to head into the pits. I'm wondering if he's hoping that they can pull that billboard out of his hood, and I think the answer to that is going to be no, fortunately. Giordano going to go side by side with Ramirez. Ramirez is taking the position away from him. Gotta hurt for sure. Because he truly was P2, 3, right around there on the hot lap leaderboard. So to have a race like this where you're sitting all the way back in P31, it wears on you, man. It eats away at you.
These top three still battling fairly close. Not much of a gap between them, although Burke, man, just pulling away from Williams and Anderson on the straightaway. Williams all over the back of Anderson, gets him a little loose. Give him a little bump, got him a little loose. That allowed Garrity to try to capitalize and get past Williams there.
And Garrity's going to take that. Yes, please, and thank you, John Williams. Williams and Anderson were side by side coming down that start-finish straight, and as they filtered into turn one, Williams just got into the back of Anderson ever so lightly, but just enough to unsettle that Mustang. Garrity's right there, ready to pounce and profit from any sort of mistakes.
You know, and I'm wondering if Williams is fighting some sort of issue, whether it's damage or just hot tires or something, because the back of that McLaren looked really loose through the first half of the track. Even after he got himself sorted in turn one, he was loose through turn two as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on. See if he's just if there's an issue with the car, or he was just a little spooked after that bump.
Could be just a little spooked. The other part of it too is the McLaren seems to be a car that really relies on the floor to generate downforce and consequently grip. And at a track here like Zolder, where you have to really make use of the curbs, as Burke is stunningly 3.5 seconds. But as you have to raise that ride height to deal with the curbs here, I wonder if the McLaren just ends up getting a little bit loose and is a little more unsettled than usual.
Potentially, as we've got looks like some more takers. I don't know if these guys are trying to take a early pit strategy or what's going on, but we got Picknerd and Ansem in the pits now.
They could be going for...
Looks like sorting out. Oh!
That was a
Anderson
big
just
one.
got a little too much curb there, got really loose. Saved it from being way too detrimental, but man, that's going to drop him back quite a bit.
And that was Astudillo just getting spun again going into that corner as they tried to make it 3 wide. He is not going to be having a great night tonight, and he's not going to be happy about the way things are progressing. I believe Taft was the other car involved in their first get together. I just saw we just caught the edge of it on screen.
It looks like we got quite a pack forming back there, starting with Johnston and going all the way back to Mellinson for P15 through 19. So those 4 or 5 drivers there are all just bunched up. Not a lot of space between them.
No, there's not. It seems to happen that way.
Taft's going to dive into the pit.
Yep, Taft was involved in that wreck, so he's got some damage for sure.
Looks like we're going to see Mellinson drop in as well. Presumably he's got some damage to fix. The front of that Mustang looks quite beat up.
Yeah, it looked like there were quite a few cars that got together there in some way, shape, or form. Rudderham's going to try to have a look around the outside of Johnston. And he's going to just tap him and just drive through. Oh, and there's another big hit. Oh, no. Stefan Buckley. Man, these are deadly, deadly chicane.
It really is, you know, all it takes is just missing your braking point and you can be sending yourself into the grass or, you know, a gaggle of other cars into the grass as well. Definitely have to be absolutely perfect through these chicanes or it can cost you big time.
Yeah, and part of that too is as much as you want to race, you almost have to back out just a little bit and just make sure that you and everyone right around you gets through that chicane safely. Guys are going to try to make the exit.
Despite all that carnage, we still have a little bit of a battle. Studio, LP, and Music battling back here in 16th, 17th, and 18th. Music was looking around the outside of LP, but was not quite able to make anything stick coming through the first half of the track.
Got another battle here going back with 5th, 6th, 7th of Anderson, who's actually dropped back at some point. Although
I think that was when he got a little loose. Anderson bopped that curb, and the first chicane got a little loose, and that dropped him back to 5th place.
Got Cumber sitting here in P7. That is currently he is currently P2 in our D4 Gold Drivers Championship. So for him to be sitting P7 and Williams just gets around Garrity and goes into P2, he is going to be seeing that points gap get larger and larger. He doesn't start making some real forward progress here. Grant, now, we are just over a quarter of the way into the race. There certainly is plenty of time left. As we've seen, there's been a lot of action so far. There is certainly plenty of opportunity for more action to swing the pendulum of these points either way. These could go more in favor of Cumber or more in favor of Williams. So certainly he is not out of the fight yet, but he does need to start looking at making some forward progress. And even if he can make some forward progress, he really probably still needs Williams to have a little bit of misfortune, which, quite frankly, knock on wood, I don't want anything bad to befall anyone here. But it just doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, you know, talking about drivers whose race is going their way, Burke is just sitting absolutely comfortable. He's got almost a 4-second lead over Williams in second place. So he can just kind of sit back and cruise. He doesn't have much to worry about as he just kind of drives away from the field. And, you know, some of that is his own pace and some of that is just the luck of everybody else behind him not having a good race. You know, I remember I won my second ever race here at Zolder, and it was just a matter of I was the only one that didn't crash. And that can be what this race comes down to. You know, it just, if you're the only one that doesn't crash, you can win the race just purely based on that. So, you know, Burke just has to kind of buckle down and not make any mistakes, and he can just walk away with this thing.
Like Anderson gets around Tatro, and that is going to push Tatro a little bit offline and let Cumber through as well. So Cumber's going to be up to P6. If he can keep pace with Anderson. Anderson, of course, a pole sitter, so he's got the pace to run up at the front. No matter if he can claw his way back up there and stay consistent. A gap is closed up between Burke, currently sitting at about 2.2 seconds, so Williams has taken about a 1.5 seconds out of Burke this time around, which is eerily similar to what he did at Nürburgring last week. There on the last lap, he was about a 1.5 seconds back from Dutton, and in the matter of one lap, just flipped a switch and lit a fire under his butt and just started taking the time out of him, and then eventually got it. Burke's going to go a little bit wide here. Looks like he's coming off the line. I wonder if the car is maybe starting to get a little hard to deal with in the heat here. Not super duper hot. 26 ambient Celsius, but track is a little bit warm at 32 degrees. So tires are going to be a little bit more punished, and if you've been abusing the curbs, run the risk of catching a puncture, which can start playing with how the car feels, how it interacts with the road surface, and ultimately costing you a little bit of lap time. Ooh, a stop go 34 car, 357 of... Oh no, that's Robichaux. Oh no, not my Bentley boy.
Now looking back to this battle that's been going on in 15th, 16th, and 17th, LP has gotten past Astudillo and is moved his way up into 15th place. Meanwhile, the 296s, Astudillo and Music are still battling very close back there in 16th and 17th place. So definitely something to keep an eye on as those two silver drivers battle for just a couple points.
Looks like Williams is coming under some fire from Garrity here. Burke is starting to maybe extend that gap just a little bit, a tenth or so. Doesn't look like they've really come into lap traffic yet until they've got Madison right here in front of them. Madison, you're getting a blue flag, buddy. To let him go. This is going to let Garrity get right up onto the back of Williams, and it's going to let Burke extend that lead a little too.
Yeah, definitely not something that Williams or Garrity want to see, having that blue flag car between them and Burke and just making that gap up to first place even larger.
Yeah, well, and it's a tough spot for Madison. He obviously doesn't want to give up too much time, but he really needed to let them go in Sector 1, maybe the first part of Sector 2, because now that once you get into the back of the track here, it's really hard to find a safe spot to just let someone go.
Yeah, I mean, on the straightaway, you basically have to cross back over and get set up. As Williams goes a little off through the grass, I wonder if that's going to be a track cut or just...
I've got to think it's a track cut. Yeah, I mean, I've got to think, but maybe not. Certainly it's the rally line, if nothing else.
Yeah, definitely at the line I would take. That was quite risky.
Yeah, suboptimal.
And
suboptimal.
Unfortunately, it looks like their gap to the Bentley there has opened up a little bit.
Yep, Madison's been able to extend it over a second. He's not getting the blue flag anymore.
Maybe he was onto something.
Maybe so. I still don't like it. But hey, he can make it work. He can make it work. Checking with field. Got Handsome. And falling off just a little bit off of Melanson. Got Rosenthal here for P8 trying to get around Jobry. Couple of 296s. Number is still up in 6, just 6/10 off of Anderson, trying to find a way around. Looks like he just had a little bit of an issue. Yep. Oh. As he goes into the pits, he's going to go ahead and take his pit stop. We are 35 minutes remaining and some change. That Rosenthal heading into the pits as well? It is. Might have been getting the Jobry than he wanted and didn't really want to fight. He's just going to try to get him through pit strategy. We check back in with the lead. This is closed down. Williams is within a second, but he's still got Madison in between.
Madison makes a little bit of a mistake and just has to let those guys go. You know, he was challenging Burke there at the front of the field. I thought he was going to unlap himself, but that mistake cost him, and he's just going to have to let those guys go. I don't think it's a big loss because he's still the leader of the cars that have already pitted and the first car lap down, so he's still sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yep, and he's 15 seconds over the next car who's already pit, which is Pinkard back in P23. So Madison's in a good spot to inherit some positions. He can let these guys go. They're all running a good pace, lead cars. He can latch onto the back of them and just match their pace. And he can get a free pass through some of the upcoming traffic as well.
Now looking at the times, it looks like Burke may have made a mistake on the lap prior. He was over a second slower than Williams, and he had done a 31. So that allowed Williams to make up some time. I'm now seeing Williams is within a second of Burke, as well as Garrity. So those top three are very close again. And like I said, it's all a matter of not making mistakes. And unfortunately, it looks like Burke made one, which cost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's actually probably made a couple because he has lost since we first started kind of keeping a little bit more of an active tab on this. Just a couple of laps ago, he's lost 3.5 seconds on. Anderson's
seeing Williams and Garrity are right up on his back bumper now.
Yes, they are, but it looks like they're going to end up fighting each other a little bit, which is going to help Burke get a little bit of breathing room, but that's closing out. That Aston might not be feeling so great right now.
Dutton back there in fourth place looking on, hoping that one of these guys just goes bowling ball and he can capitalize on any mistakes they make.
Well, and
he's been lurking back there, not too far behind.
He's lurking, and I think he might be wanting some. I don't know that revenge is the right word, but he just missed out on the podium in the last corner. As Burke goes wide, that's going to let Williams get through. Garrity's going to have a crack at him, but not quite able to make it. Garrity right on his butt.
is we're gonna have a drive-through for track limits. Car number 26, Mr. Tenney, down there in 12th place, so that's gonna cost him a lot.
Yes, it is, as we've got another blue flag who is not letting them go yet. That is going to let Burke have a cheeky look down the inside, not do anything with it.
That also gave Dutton a chance to catch up to this
Yes, it did.
battle. Unfortunately, does not. Oh, looks like he just squeaks by that blue flag.
Oh, as Madison
just
goes a
before
little
the
wide.
turn.
Madison no longer the leader of the cars who have pit. That is actually going to, that title is going to belong to Joel Moffat, sitting in P7 right now. As Moffat, Burt slipping down, might be just coming out of the pits. So he'll still be the leader of the cars who have pit. Will reemerge into P12, it looks like.
And Burke is really starting to slip now. He made another mistake, went wide on that same turn 1 and let Garrity by, and is dropped back to 3rd place now.
Yeah. I'm thinking if I'm Burke, I've just gotta dial it back. Those guys have pace. They've gotten around me. I'm getting flustered. If Dutton gets around me as well, so be it. But I need to just mentally reset. I've got almost 10 seconds back to Jobry. But I'm Aiden. I cannot afford any more mistakes right now. I need to just bring it home safely. Gets it a little bit loose coming out of this back forest section here. Dutton is right on him.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. If I was in that number 369 Aston Martin, I would probably be looking at my pit strategy, getting it set up, and get ready to just take a 30-second breather here and reset myself for the second half of this race.
Oh.
As he gets taken out by Dutton. Oh no!
Wondering if Dutton was just trying to go into the pits, or if he just missed his brake marker.
Yeah, maybe he
Or
thought
what?
maybe he thought Burke was gonna take that pit exit too.
Are we about to be looking at a pit lane closed? All right, that's gonna get going again, but that is going to cut Burke a lot of time, almost 10 seconds, and Jobry is right on him now. On tires that, to my knowledge, haven't had a spin yet. Williams isn't totally checking out, but he is opening up a little bit of a gap over Garrity. It is now 1.6 seconds behind. Rudderham and Landon P go into the pits. Ordano currently staying out.
Okay, we only have a handful of cars that still have not pit. Looks like only 6 cars remain now out on the track that have not pit yet, so only a handful left. We'll keep an eye and see who goes next.
When do we think Williams takes his pit?
I am going to place my bets on the 5-minute.
I think 23
He
minutes.
loves to just
I think
stint
23.
as long as he can on tires.
I think 23 because he's going to have to have bled off a little bit of pressure. And we've seen him take some of these curves. I mean, look, I could be wrong. I hit the nail on the head last time. I think 23 minutes remaining is about when we're going to see him come into the pits. Coincidentally, I think we'll be about 23 minutes remaining when we see him come up on the next group of cars. First of which will be number 695 of, is that Giordano? No, that's not Giordano. 95 of Rosenthal, who has already taken his pit stop. Maybe it's a little later. Let's see, stop and go cleared for 543. Who was 543? That was Busterski. Oh no. I assume
And he's
pit lane
just not
speeding.
had a good season so far. He keeps having you know, bad luck after bad luck in each of these races.
Yeah, you hate to see it. Some seasons just don't work out. Looking at Taft trying to get around Mertzen. Not able to make the move yet, but he is trying.
We've got Jobry still right on the back of Burke, looking for a place to make a pass, but just cannot get it done. Those two continue to battle it out as the laps wind down, and we're into the second half of this race. You know, I'm kind of surprised that Burke has not pit to maybe fix some of that damage or take some fresh tires now that they've had a spin on them.
Yeah, especially as you're going to have a little less wear in the second half as you have less fuel load because there is no refueling. So, fresh tires, I would think I would just... I'm with you, I would have gone and taken them. Really, the same lap that he got tapped from the back by Dutton. You know, I would have just braked a little later and just gone straight into the pits on that lap. But I'm not the one racing, and certainly doesn't mean that just because that's what I would have done that was the right call, or would have been the right call.
Yeah, well, you know, it seems to be that we've got more and more people following the lead of Mr. Williams and just opting to run as long as they can on their first set of tires so that they can have fresher tires through the end of the race. Whether that pays off for everybody else like it does for Mr. Williams, that's to be seen.
We just had a little bit of an incident there with Kevin and JP Johnston always finding each other on track. Looks like Kevin got tripped up some way somehow going into the first chicane and lost the position. I don't know if it was a self-delete or if there was maybe a little assistance or what happened exactly.
Looks like Garrity's going to dive into the pits and make his stop now. So that leaves quite a large gap between Burke and Williams, almost 12 seconds. So Williams has got plenty of clean air, doesn't have to worry about anything. Obviously not his tires, he's definitely not worried about those.
Yep. You know what? I was thinking going to catch up to that next group of cars a little more quickly, but he run this a bit later than I was thinking. And hey, if your tires are lasting, there's no need to pit. Certainly take it whenever it becomes convenient. And it doesn't look like
he's
his times
definitely not off the pace by any stretch of imagination. Still running 3/10 faster than Burke in second place. Although we do have Anderson in sixth place with a 28.9, so obviously fresh tires help.
Yeah, up into fifth place now as he gets around Garrity, who is coming out of the pits, I believe. Yep, just exiting pit lane. So Anderson may still come away with the lead here despite some trials and tribulations along the way. Jobry is going to follow Burke into the pits. They are going to end up pitting together. As Ramirez tries to make the move on Scott Johnston going into turn one. We'll leave a little bit of space around the outside. Johnston is going to hold the position for now. Ramirez is going to come back along the inside, have a look through turn two. Not quite able to get it done though. Hop on board. Ramirez is going to have a look up the inside going into the first chicane, but he's going to back out, not do anything with it. Going to get a great run coming out of it though. He's going to have the inside line going into chicane number 2. And that is going to take the position away from Johnston. Very well executed pass there from Ramirez. Jobry just jumped Burke in the pits, but he's still got his pit limiter on coming out of him. And he's come to a stop in pit lane. There he goes. Now he's got his pit limiter off. He is away and running, having lost a ton of time there, though. Johnston looking to try to find a way to respond to Ramirez. As we've got Johnston on Johnston back here in P21 and P22. Johnston trying to make a move. Rudderham coming out of the pits, dropping down a couple of spots. A lot of action to be had out on track right now.
I'm going to rename D4 to the Johnston division. Looks like we've got Anderson has jumped pretty much everybody. He's sitting in second place with Garrity and Moffat third and fourth. Unfortunately, those mistakes are going to drop Burke and Jobry down to 7th and 8th place.
Hey, look, I was real close on Williams here. I'm just going to throw that out there. 21 minutes left. He's coming out of the pits. Oh, this is going to be a tight race right here. Williams is not quite going to retain the position, but he is close. McLaren's supposed to be pretty good on fresh tires, so we'll have to see if Williams is able to close that up. That is a change of position. Anderson had been all the way back down in, what, 7th or so? And he has clawed his way back up to the front. And currently sitting on best lap of the race with the only 28 in the field with a 28.9, a 29.6 last time around. Match.
Looking further back in the field, we have Ramirez has gotten a drive-through, presumably for track limits. So he's currently sitting in 11th place. He's made one lap with that penalty, but unfortunately he's going to have to take a little bit of extra time. That's going to drop him a good ways back.
Yeah, I would guess that's probably going to put him 25th-ish, right around there. Not further.
Yeah.
Man, that is going to be
definitely not a
detrimental.
short pit lane by any stretch of imagination.
No, it's not. Got Raf Cab getting into the Johnston and Johnston battle here.
Got another drive-through for track limits.
No, for
number
Mellinson.
617, that's going to be Mellinson.
All the Mustangs, I'm noticing.
You know, those Mustangs, they just don't like to stay pointed in the right direction. Must be too many crowds along the side of the track here.
Like, Tinney's actually going to get around Rimsk here.
Man, Ramirez is stretching that out as long as he can. He's down to one lap now. Hopefully he notices that penalty. Otherwise, that's going to be costly.
Oh, it's going to be horribly costly. Mellinson opting to go ahead and serve his drive-through. Johnston closes right up onto the back of Johnston. Williams currently sitting 2 seconds adrift of Anderson. Both of them looking to come around to wrap up their laps. Just a moment. Anderson extending his lead by about 0.2, a 29.2 versus 29.4.
If Williams is gonna, Ramirez is gonna dive into the pits, he does. Ramirez dives into the pits to serve that drive-through, lets Johnston by, but not without, you know, holding Johnson up and saving as much time as he can.
Had he built a little bit of a gap on him? Wondering if maybe he was just trying to pull that out and just try to kind of mitigate while he had some clean air.
Yeah, he definitely had quite an open track in front of him. Unfortunately, it did not look like he had that much of a gap. Less than a second back to Johnston when he pitted.
Gotcha. Look, oh, Johnston. Oh no, he's gonna take out Johnston. Johnston on Johnston. Violence has occurred coming out of the last corner, and Tenney is going to slam into the wall as well. Johnston is going to wait up for Johnston. Very good sportsmanlike behavior from them. We love to see the sportsmanship, but we do not like to see the contact and the collisions and the spins.
Man, that Mustang is looking a little worse for wear, as we have another drive-through for track limits yet again.
No, not
that's gonna
Pinkard.
be
It's Pinkard with the drive-through. This is terrible. Burke is moving back up. He's climbed his way back up to P6, getting himself around
Before I look,
Rosenthal there.
let me guess. Yep, it's a Mustang. So note to self: don't drive a Mustang in Zolder, or you will get track limits.
I think everyone has track limits. It's just that the Mustangs seem to violate those track limits a little more.
Holy crap, we have Anderson and Williams are matched for best lap time. Both have set identical fast laps
Oh my
of a
gosh.
28.995. That is absolutely wild. I've never seen two purple laps on the board at the same time.
I don't think I have either. I to have the same lap down to the 1,000th is wild.
I'm gonna have to screenshot this for the history books, because that's nuts.
Got a big battle going on here with Johnston, Astudillo, Ellenson not too far off. Gusterski just got around him though. Really hoping we'd get all three Johnstons together on track fighting for the same position, as that is Mert and Ellenson? No, that's Mertz, and that was off, spun around in the Ferrari.
Yeah, it looks like he just got loose over that over the bumps in that first part of the chicane and just went a little wide.
Well, and it looked like...
Unfortunately, it took him a little while to get going and cost him quite a lot of time.
Well, and it looks like car 250 that just got a drive. Oh, it's
going to be Hirschham rims.
You hate to see it. It's not a Mustang, though, which is interesting. I'm thinking JP Johnston might have picked up a track limit cut when he blew through that second chicane there, trying to make sure he avoided Mertzen. Because it did not look like he lifted. Evan Johnston's having a look around the outside here. Might be seeing if he can switch back under him. Nope, he is making that get.
Yeah, you got Garrity kind of bebopping his way through that battle. He's our third place driver.
Gusterski just absolutely muscling his way through there, I think. Is that a different one? Nope, that's Gusterski. Muscling his way through along with Astudillo, getting around Kevin Johnston. He's got a stellar run coming up into this second chicane. Home slice has some pace, that's for sure. Ooh, as he gets it a little loose there. That can be really dangerous coming out of that, or coming into that back section, coming out of that second chicane. Williams has closed up to just over a second off of Anderson. Almost a full second faster last time around. Now 2 faster this time. Have to see what happens there. Gursky pulls up alongside the Mustang. I think he gets a much better run out of that final corner, final chicane. And will he commandeer the lead going to turn 1? He had a look, but he looks like he backed out there, gave the room, said, hey, still got 10 minutes, 12 minutes as Astudillo comes through and muscles his way in. And that's going to bump Vistursky wide. Oh, man. I don't think you can complain too much. That same muscling move is not what he did earlier. Astudillo's going to... Ooh, he is just going to tank that crack cut. And
unfortunately, that's going to give him a drive-through. As he gets a drive-through for track limits for that move going by Johnston. I'm also seeing the number
955 of Taft.
9. Yeah. So, and as we wind down here, only 10 or 11 minutes left to go. We're still seeing lots of drive-throughs for track limits, man. You gotta keep it together going through those chicanes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Astudillo has had his fair share of incidents this evening. I certainly don't believe all his fault by any means, but I'm wondering if he just got a little bit hot under the helmet and said, screw this, I am getting through. He's going to stay out and not serve his drive-through yet.
And it's always fun to watch, you know. The action isn't always at the front of the pack. We've got these guys back here in the top 25 just battling it out. Only, what, like a second or two between these guys as they go almost 3 wide down this back straightaway.
Oh, and that's going to be a bump from the Lambo of Penny. First, he's going to plop through the chicane. I'm wondering if he's tanking a track cut. Johnston is going to close, or Melanson is going to close.
Oh,
right
as
on
he
the
gets
back
loose, he goes around in the chicane.
With a little help from Melanson. And I get it. There's the last lap desperation, but you can't let it get to you like that. You got to keep it.
There's still 10 minutes left, guys. We don't need to be fighting like this. Birch has made his way up to 5th place now, as he just went around. Who was that?
He got around Rosenthal a little while back. He's been sitting in 5th, so I think that was a lap driver.
Gotcha.
Williams is closing up on Anderson. Not a ton, but a little bit. Both drivers have improved their lap times, Williams by a little bit more, so they're no longer sitting at a tied 28.995. Williams has the fastest lap at a 28.702, almost a tenth and a half faster than Anderson. Got the pace, he's closing that up, his tires are fresher, and he's proven to be really, really consistent. Closing that down to right at 1 second now. He could really take this away. With his championship rival, Cumber, sitting back in 8th. Looks like 4 seconds adrift of P7. He is in a good spot and taking some heat from P9 right behind him.
Yeah, you've got Foster and Mattisey right there on Cumber, within a second of him, putting the pressure on him. So another battle starting to heat up here within the top 10. You've also got LP, Tatro, and Rotherham within 1 second of each other down there in 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Tatro looked like he was doing a little bit of a bump draft on LP there.
Oh no! Looks like, unfortunately, Foster got just a tiny bump on Cumber. That slowed him up, and Mattisey bumped him out of the way, going through that hairpin there at the back.
Well, unfortunate. At least it is only one position lost for Foster. He's still inside the top 10, but certainly going to be a...
Yeah, and that allowed Cumber a little bit of breathing room, as Mattisey's now a second back, Foster 2 seconds.
Yep, and Williams is slowly but surely closing in on Anderson. Anderson's got to be starting to feel the pressure a little. Looks like he is taking about 2 tenths out of him every lap, and a little bit more. He took a couple tenths out of him just in that final hairpin. Up on board, looking back from Anderson's car at Williams.
Williams just set another fast lap of 28.69, so again, taking more time out of Anderson as he tries to close this gap.
He's right on him. He's flipped the switch. He wants to get him. He wants to run away with it. He can taste the blood in the water. He knows Anderson clawed his way back up, and he's clawing back on Anderson. He knows he can do it. He's got to find a way around, and he's only got a little over 5 minutes left to do this. Make this happen. Going to get a little bit loose over that first chicane. It's going to let Anderson stretch out a little bit of a gap here. Not much, though. Only to about half a second. Going to close back up a little bit coming into this second chicane. I've got to think with Anderson having pitted a little bit earlier that those are starting to go away on the Mustang.
Looks like those two are starting to catch up to some lap traffic, so hopefully that won't play into this battle too much, but you know, that could be a good point for Williams to try to take advantage.
Absolutely. We have seen that blue flags this race, just from the couple of pits we've seen, haven't necessarily been the fastest to make room for the leaders coming through. Certainly that could just be the case from the couple of pieces we saw, or it could be that things are going to change here later in the race of, hey, I'm not exactly in a massive fight right now, I can build a little bit more easily.
And it looks like RAFCAB is going to move out of the way, let the two front runners by without any incident, as Williams hangs on to the back of Anderson. Yep. Through the first section of this racetrack.
Yep, beautiful courtesy, as expected from a fellow OBDA driver.
Williams and Anderson running very similar lap times within a tenth of each other on that last lap. They've got more lap traffic ahead. Whether they'll catch them before the end of the race, that's to be seen. Let's see who we got battling.
I would think they will. See, that is the number 98 of Ramirez. They got around Cab. Looks like they might have one other car in between them. 50, maybe? 50.
Yeah, it does not look like those two guys are fighting for position, so hopefully they'll play nice and let the two leaders by.
Yep.
As they catch. But still remains to be seen.
Williams is going to lose just a tiny bit of time here on the straight, as the Mustang just has the straight line advantage. Rimsky's going to pull over and let them both go. Very peaceful. Very courteous of him. We love to see it.
Still mirroring each other for lap times, as we've also got the battle between Foster, Mattisey, and Cumber still going on in 8th and 9th place. Foster still sitting back there in 10th. Madison in 9th and Cumber in 8th.
Hesitant to look away. But we've got to, as Madison is off, and that's going to let Foster go through. That is on the outside edge of turn 1 there. You've got Bistro getting around Johnston. Mertzen trying to make a move on Buckley. Williams still hanging right around Anderson, about 4/10 off. Mertzen not going to be able to make anything happen quite yet. Petro hanging just half a second off Rudderham.
Williams and Anderson coming back across the line with 1:50 to go. So that may give Williams 2 laps to get it done, but I don't know if 2 laps is enough. You know, Anderson, that Mustang is pretty quick.
It is, and I could see Williams just saying, I'm going to click off my laps. If he screws up, then he screws up. But I'm just going to click off my laps. I'm going to bring this home safely. If an opportunity presents itself, then cool. And that's realistically, that's the right way to approach this. Oh, as he gets a little loose coming out of that first chicane.
That opens the gap up to Anderson just a little bit more. They were 1 second coming down that straightaway, as Anderson has now caught some lap traffic.
Yep, was just about to say, it looks like they are going to let them through. Or at least Anderson through. Okay, they are going to go wide. And it looks like Anderson's coming up on Robichaud now.
Looks like he's going to be courteous, let the 2 front runners by. As there's a car off and the grass stopped as the leaders go by.
That is Ansem.
Last lap, let's see what happens.
See. Hop on board with Williams here as he has closed this back down to half a second. See if he can make this last lap charge, or if he's going to just keep it consistent, bring it home safely. No muss, no fuss. Really, I think of everyone here, Williams has probably had the most consistent race. Ooh, that is a lot of bouncing from the back end of that McLaren.
He took a lot of curb there through the chicane.
Yeah.
You know, those curbs in that first chicane are not forgiving at all.
No, they're not. Especially the entry one you can cut. The exit one gets real dicey, real quick.
As we see another track limits at the very end for Ramirez. He's already had a track limit penalty this race, and he's going to get another one. He had made it back up to 16th from 11th place, but I don't know if he's going to finish inside the top 20 after this one.
I can't imagine.
You know, and if he doesn't, it looks like he is going to elect to serve that, but if he hadn't elected to serve that, that's what, like a 302nd penalty, or it's a big penalty if you don't take your, if you don't serve it before the end of the race.
Yeah, no, massive penalties. We're going to hop on board. We've got Burke and Moffat coming in nose to tail on the last chicane. Burke going to take a look inside, not going to, or maybe do, oh no. He taps Moffat. Moffat keeps going. He's okay. Burke is not going to lose position, but that was a bold move and could have gone very badly. We've got Anderson, Williams, Garrity for our podium. Moffat P4, Burke P5. Going from P2 to P5, still a very strong finish for Burke. Rosenthal P6, the second of our silver drivers. Dobry P7, Steve Foster. Looks like he will finish P8, followed by Matt Mattisey in P9. Kyle Cumber should come across in P10 here momentarily. Hopefully. Yep. Kyle Cumber P10, Scott Johnston P11. Eric Rudderham looks like he should finish P12.
I'm glad to see he didn't fall too far back because he was having some bad luck there at the beginning of the race. So,
Rudderham.
good driving back for Rudderham.
Yep, followed by Tatro Music, Raf Cab, and that is the last one that I'm going to be able to pick up as our drivers start figuring out this evening. All right, well, certainly a stellar race. A ton of drama, a ton of action. Unfortunately, a lot more track cuts than I ever want to see.
Yeah, definitely getting 2 track cut drive-throughs for a total of 6 track cuts in one race is not something you want to have happen. But unfortunately, we did see an instance of that tonight.
Yes, we did. Massive congratulations to Anderson, who are on a blank. I don't think he pulled the win last week, too, if I'm not. Back and at it some. I believe he pulled the win with Garrity in P2 and then Williams in P3. So Anderson on his second win of the season here at Zolder. Williams with yet another podium. Garrity finishing P3, Moffat and Burke P4 and 5. Let's see if we can't find some of these up and have a quick little chat with.
Yeah, for Williams, I think he's going to be happy even with second place because that just continues to open his gap over Kyle Cumber in the Gold Driver Championship there. Kyle Cumber finishing all the way down to 10th place, so not ideal for him, but still a good place for Williams to be.
Absolutely. Hey, Anderson, congratulations on the race win.
Thank you.
This is win number 2 for you, correct?
Yeah, in this class, yeah.
Congratulations, man. So how was the track out there this evening? So it looked like you had a little bit of trouble with a couple of the chicanes there a little bit earlier on in the race.
Yeah, I was, that was the hardest race I've ever run, hands down. I, struggling kind of like last week. I do a lot of like race trim practice, so I don't know where it comes from or what I'm doing. Maybe it's got to be a me thing, but I have so much like understeer. The car felt so slippery. I did a couple push laps to try to, take the lead back, and the car is just kind of falling away from me. And then kind of got the tires hot and took me a couple laps to kind of get them cooled back down. And then at that point, trying to push to catch back up, and little mistakes just start compounding. Next thing you know, I'm like 4 seconds behind these guys, and had to figure out a way to make something happen.
Yeah, no, so how quickly were your tires going away on this one? It looked like you were holding up pretty good after your pit stop until maybe 10 minutes to go, and then things started to maybe fall off a little bit.
It was that first run, I don't know, I got bumped in the rear kind of going into turn 1 by Williams, and it really lit the rear tires up, and it just kind of seemed to fall apart after that. I don't really know. But then I put the new tires on, and I'm like, all right, it's time to hammer down, see if we can, at least get back in the fight. And those tires felt really good. I was coming through traffic and, setting purple laps. And I mean, even at the end there, the variance wasn't as bad as I thought. Before the race on race trim, I was running like 29.4s. And I mean, we were consistently down there the whole race. So I was pleased with how the tires held up on the second half, because I was a little worried pitting early like that.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations on another race win, man. You guys did an awesome job, and you especially, you clawed your way back through the pack. So to do that and come back to a race win, that's awesome, man. Congratulations again. Anyone you want to shout out?
I'd just like to thank you guys for the streams. I love going back and watching them. Thank you to SRA. They do a great job. I'm in a couple other leagues, and this is definitely the best run. And anybody into motocross, into dirt bikes, go check out Start Your Systems on YouTube. That's the kind of group I'm a part of. We do a lot of dirt bike gaming over there.
All right. Well, you heard them, folks. If you love motocross, go check out Start Your Systems if you haven't already. Aaron, congrats again on the win, man. We'll send you back down to the race chat.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely, buddy. All right, so that was Aaron Anderson, our D4 winner this evening. Let's see if we can pull to do Sean Williams. Let's see. Pull him up here. Hey, Sean, welcome back to the commentator's booth. You seem to be just an absolute regular up here, man.
Thank you. What a race. That was intense. Holy cow. I hope you guys had fun watching it. That was a blast driving it.
Absolutely. It was cool watching you try and close up. It didn't look like you were quite able to make it happen. What were your thoughts there towards the end of the race, especially?
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Anderson there was on fire, didn't make a mistake. His entry into the first chicane was out of control. He was over all the curbs. Can't believe he didn't spin it. So congrats to him on the win. He totally deserved that. I tried a few times to take his line through to that first chicane and just got bucked. And like at one point I lost a hand on the steering wheel and was struggling to get my hand back on it and hit my trash control down to 12. And so cannot take the Mustang's line if you're the McLaren going through that first chicane.
No, you can't. The McLaren gets a lot more upset over the corners. We were actually riding on board with you on the passenger side for those last lap and a half or so.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
We saw you get pretty loose with a lot of bucking and bouncing there through coming out of that first chicane. I was like, oh man, I was thinking he was just kind of going to send it in and just bring it home safe, but oh, he's getting antsy there.
Yeah, I tried. We had such a gap that if I did spin, I could just lock the brakes and then get back on track. But I wanted to, because he and I were the ones who came together a few races ago, and so I don't know if you guys saw us at the beginning of the race. We came together. I bumped him.
Yeah.
He didn't spin off. Yeah. So it was fun. It was a blast. Probably one of the most fun SRA races I've been a part of.
Yeah, Zolder's always a dangerous one, but it usually does. It's usually a good time. It's a really rewarding race.
I'm sure you guys had your hands full because it would, while you're driving on track, you're like, oh, car spun backwards. Oh, car spun 90 degrees. That one's 120 degrees. Like it was wild. It was hilarious. I don't know if there'll be a bunch of penalties. Hopefully not. But
I hope not. But we'll have to see what happens there on the stewarding side. So, what did your pit strategy look like? It looked like you went a little bit earlier than in the past.
Yeah, I didn't feel like my pace was strong enough, and I didn't feel like I was doing what I needed pace-wise to come out at least in front of 2 or 3 cars. So I just bailed on it, and I don't know if it was the right call, but it is what it is.
Well, I'm with you. I don't know if it was the right call, but I certainly don't think it was the wrong call. If nothing
totally.
else, it gave us really good entertainment value there at the end once again. Certainly not as good entertainment value as your last corner pass at Nürburgring last week. You have to shout you out on that because that's still just chef's kiss.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah,
coming out of the pits, I was like, okay, I could see him on your Delta, right? But I couldn't see him on the track map. And it's such a hard pit exit, or pit exit. And I'm like, where is he? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was like something out of Top Gun. It was like, I was like, where is he? There he is. And it was like, okay, well, game on, here we go. And I tried hard, right? I need to practice pit exit with cold tires because I tried to get after it right away and just lost it, or almost lost it a few times on that out lap. So something to work on for this next race.
Yep. Well, it sounds like you got a plan of attack. You do have 2 weeks to practice for Mount Pano, which, you said today was the most fun. Who knows? Maybe that changes after next week.
I don't think it will. I'm going to try to survive. I am going to wear 2 pairs of underwear and just hope that I make it through that race alive. So.
Well, you've been a regular up here on the podium for each race so far, so I feel confident that we'll see you again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys again. Yes, thank you guys again for everything you do. And I would be fired by my team principal, Paul A., if I didn't call out Champion Motorsports. So there's the plug.
Right on. Anyone else you want to plug while you're up here?
No, just you guys for each week putting the time and effort into doing the broadcast. It's a blast to watch. Well, I'll get 0 work done for the first couple hours tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate the love, man. Y'all make it easy for us. Y'all give us plenty of quality entertainment.
That's what it's about.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on P2 again, man. You're extending your points lead over Kyle Cumber. So I'm sure you're going to be happy about that. With that said, I am going to go ahead and send you back on down to the D34 race chat so you can go and handle your race review.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too, buddy. All right, and let's see. Our last podium is going to be Ryan Garrity. Let's see if we can pull him on up here. Hey, Ryan, you're up here with Big Daddy and Rob Warren in the commentators booth. Congrats on P3 this week, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good to hear from you. Sorry I missed last week.
It's all good. Last week you were, weren't you on? Oh, you were. Yeah, you were P2 on the podium last week.
Yes.
You topped out a chat a little bit early, I guess.
Yeah. I think I may have just missed you. I hopped in the race review a bit late.
Gotcha.
But no, last week was my first podium here, so to have it 2 weeks in a row is pretty wild.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's always good to cross that off your list the first time. Makes the second one come a little bit easier. It gives you that little bit of boost of confidence, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what to expect. You know what you need to do. So no, just like you said.
Right on. Well, so how was the race this evening?
It was spicy. So I knew going into Zolder it was going to be very tricky. Just like everyone said, driver's briefing, there's going to be a lot of incidents. And my goal was just to survive. So starting spot, I had P5. I thought that was decent. Surprised myself with that a little bit. But yeah, just survive, keep going, push for clean air as much as possible. And right before my pit, I knew Williams was going to push until like 5 minutes left in the race to get fresh tires. So I figured we'll try for the undercut, and then coming out of the pits, maneuvering around the traffic was just wicked. So everyone was respectful, like no issues there whatsoever, but it definitely clogged things up a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of traffic this week, and I think that usually happens on these tracks with a little bit lower lap time, just because it's a little bit blue flags. So we're having a really good battle going on the first roughly half the race, maybe 60% of it. They're right up at the front. So walk us through that a little bit. You had some really good battling going on with Williams and I believe Dutton as well.
Yeah, no, great battles with those guys 2 weeks in a row now. And then I knew even before with Anderson when he spun out, I knew he was going to come back because I saw him in P5. And then as soon as he put those fresh tires on, the hot laps were just dropping in and the new fastest laps were coming in. But the battle with Dutton and Williams, it was more so just elbows out respectfully because it's a very narrow track. So as long as I was matching pace with them, I felt like I could either keep them behind or capitalize on any mistakes that they had made.
Right on. Well, hey, congratulations again on P2.
Thanks,
man.
man.
I'm sorry, P3.
Oh, P3, yes.
Well, P2 last week.
Yes, yeah.
Congratulations on P2 last week. Congratulations again on P3 this week. And the top 5 quali. Anyone you want to shout out while you're up here?
Teammate Rob Lacey, he's the man. He's been an awesome teammate so far this season. Shout out to Anderson for that wicked pace tonight. Williams as well. I couldn't match it. I had the track cut, so I said I'm just cruising till the end. But no, that's about it. Thanks, guys. Great job on the streams.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for making it easy for us with all the quality content.
Yeah, of course. Take care, guys.
Thanks. You too, buddy.
Thanks.
All right. And I think that'll wrap us up for this week. We will see you guys again. We'll take another quick look at the schedule of events coming up. So we do have a 2-week break once again coming up before Mount Panorama. Should be another fun race. It will be a little bit more of a survival game, kind of like here at Zolder this week. Looking forward to seeing exactly what the weather brings for that one. It should be, it'll be dry at least, but be cold, could be hot, could be somewhere in between, which is going to be the best situation for everyone. Kind of take a little bit of that unpredictability out of it. And then week after that, we will have Olton Park, which is a bit of a challenge just because of how tight and technical. Very old school British track, a lot of great flow to it, but a lot of kind of little bumps and ridges, elevation changes to the track, make it a real challenge. Curbs can be a big, tough part to deal with there. Then we will close out on the 19th with a night race at Valencia. Again, I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to provide some really stellar, really close rate. A little bit of good runoff there, so you can kind of play with the track limits quite as badly as some. With that, Rob, anything you want to say in closing statements?
No, I think, lots of exciting racing. Nice to see these guys up on the podium again. Sean Williams, man, having a great, very consistent season. So good to see him up here again. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in.
Absolutely. As Rob said, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting some great racing tonight at Zolder. Unfortunately, some self-deletes and some help assisted delete that we would rather have not seen, but such is the nature of racing, especially at a tight technical track like Zolder. With that said, we are looking forward to next round at Mount Panorama. Until then, we will see you all later. Y'all take care. Cheers.